Hey everybody, how's it going? Welcome back to the channel. I'm standing on top of a Suburban camper on top of a CVT tent. This is the CVT Denali Hybrid with extended fly. So this is one of the biggest tents you can get from Cascadia Vehicle Tents. And we just got back from Rendezvous in the Ozarks 2021. We spent 3 nights in this thing, first trip in it. And I want to give you a little bit of a initial impression, after action report on our first trip and kind of my thoughts on it. There's no specific number of points. I'm just going to run through the different things that I noticed, that I like, that I dislike, and you can take it for what it's worth. I'm just going to throw it out there so you can see. So this is the top of the thing. The hybrid. This is what the hybrid is. It's an aluminum top. It's got these rails so that you can put more gear on top. I liked that. When they came out with this, I was like, that's the one I want. I've been looking at theirs for a while. I'd also been looking at 23-0. They both make really good tents, made the size I want. But when I saw the hybrid, I went, I want this. So I want the option of putting more gear on my tent. I could put some solar panels up here for when it's open and we're driving or whatever. I can put, a different number of different options. Most of the time I won't carry anything up here, but if I want to, I can. So that's why I got this. All right. So a couple things that I noticed right off the bat that I didn't really think about this one in particular. So because it's a hybrid, it's got the aluminum top. So this part of the cover here is riveted to this aluminum top. Your regular tents have the whole tent is underneath. There's not this aluminum top, and it's just a cover that goes over it. So it's a little different. I am curious how long this cover is going to last in the sun. With the ones that have a regular cover, you can just buy a new cover and slap it on. With this, you can't exactly, that I know of. I mean, it's riveted to the aluminum. So if this aluminum gets damaged, or if the cover wears out from sun or something, it's going to be a bigger deal to replace it. So I'm thinking about getting either just a tarp or a secondary cover of some sort, and when this thing is parked, putting a secondary cover on it to protect all of this, just to make it last. And this thing was not cheap. These are expensive. I got it 25% off because they had a sale going on, but it's still expensive. This tent costs more, or about equal to all the rest of this camper and what I've done combined, including my refrigerator, the fantastic fan, my brake actuator, all that. This tent costs as much as the rest of the camper. So I want to take care of this thing and get years of use out of it. So I'm probably going to get a secondary cover, put over the whole thing. Also notice this is a little bit, with the way I've got it mounted on here, there's buckles up underneath here and down the sides. There's each corner, side, in the middle. Those buckles are a little hard to get your hands up into with it the way I've got it on the roof here. There may be better ways to get it on a roof. Everybody's going to be different in the mounting application. That's just something I've noticed, a little bit of a pain. Not really a fault of the manufacturing thing, it's just the way it goes on the roof. It's a little hard to get to. We got poured on while we were out at the Rendezvous, and I did notice when we went to put up the tent that there is, and I'll see if I can show this to you, right here, these are the ladders on these. Another thing about these, the ladders don't stay on the top. So you got to pull the ladders out and snap them into here. So that's a little bit of a time consuming part, but it's not that big of a deal. You do have to store the ladders somewhere, which is a little bit annoying, but we could probably put them up here and strap them down. We may end up doing that, I don't know, but I want to show you this here. All right, so this is one of the brackets that mount the ladder. You can see in manufacturing, these things are a little crooked and cattywampus, not real straight, which is a little disappointing, but I can understand why. But it would be nice if these were, straight, but they're all a little bit bent. So when I went to put up the tent, I did notice that there's, you can see it right there, there's a little bit of rust on that. And also right in here, you can get it to focus and see it, there's some rust inside of that. I don't see any on this pin, but there's some rust inside of there. And that is after one trip in the rain. So And I don't see it on all of them, but I did see it on that one. I don't know if all of them have that or not. I'll look at them and see. I don't think they all do, but that just kind of tells me that maybe the stainless isn't real high quality. So this one here, it looks good. It doesn't seem to have any, but that one definitely does. So I don't know if it's just the lower quality of stainless on that one or what, but I'll keep an eye on it. I can probably get replacement parts for that if need be, but I'm gonna kind of keep an eye on the stainless parts and see if they start rusting, then it may be some lower quality stainless and I may need to get a little bit different stuff. Okay, I need to open this thing back up. It's still a little bit wet. There was a lot of dew on it when we put it up this morning, so I'm gonna open it back up and I'm just gonna film me opening it and set a timer and see how long it takes me to open it. Now that I've done it maybe 3, 4, 5 times, I'm gonna open it up, put the Annex on. I need to get it all put up so we can clean some stuff and put it away. And then there's some more things I wanna show you. It's all set up, spring rod's up. The only thing I haven't done is stake down the Annex. But other than that, everything is set up. And that's pretty realistic time on how long it would take. I had a kid distract me for a minute. I had to get my gear out of my toolbox, out of the camper, get everything out. So for doing it like 3 or 4 times at this point, and having never had a rooftop tent before, this is my first rooftop tent, it took me 20 minutes to set that up. Which is not bad, but it definitely adds a lot of setup time to our current configuration. We could have all of camp set up in 20 minutes before pretty easily. Well, obviously this is a massive upgrade, a lot more space. The Annex takes quite a bit of time. If I just had the tent and not the Annex, it'd be significantly faster to set up. So we may not always use the Annex, but a lot of times it is going to be very nice to have. So that's kind of roughly what it takes for a newbie. So I've learned a few things. I can set it up faster now than the first time. So I've learned a few things about how to set it up and how to do it pretty quick. And I mean, it looks cool. It looks like an overlanding rig now, ish, if you ignore the Chevrolet on it anyway. But yeah, so about 20 minutes to set up for me right now. Okay, what are some other things? Let's go inside. One other thing before we go inside. I did just set this up solo. Usually Sarah's around helping me, and that makes it go quite a bit faster, especially putting the Annex up and positioning things and bringing it down. That does speed it up a little bit to have 2 people working on it. Okay, so I've got it all opened up now. These are some extra poles, so you can do this on one of the little side things on the Annex if you want. So it's all opened up now. So a couple things. This is kind of how we use it. We got all this Annex space, and we just come in here. This door doesn't quite line up. It will open. I can open it all the way, but it starts to pull on this a little bit. So we usually kind of put it about like, yeah, that first little catch. And that gives us access from the Annex, so we can come down from the tent, go right in. We can leave the door open if we want. The only kind of downside is this tent is rolled up here and it kind of catches, so when you close the door it wants to catch in the door, so you kind of got to use 2 hands, pull that up and get the door closed. Not a big deal, you know, we'll get used to it. It'd be nice if this was over a little bit more and this was centered on the door, but there's just no way to do that on this, so we'll just make it work. Okay, one negative thing, not really negative but kind of annoying on this, since this is the hybrid version, this is the aluminum, this is the top, there's no cover. So when we set this up in the rain for the first time, this was all wet because it was raining, so this was all wet. So we flip it over and all that water just dumps right in the Annex, which I was like, this is going to happen, but what can you do? So maybe we just need to carry a towel wipe it off real quick, then flip it open so we don't dump all the water in the annex. Not a big deal, pretty easy solution to fix. Another thing, it rained a lot while we were out there, rained hard, and I noticed in the middle of the night, this zipper where this annex zips to the tent, this zipper all along this side, especially right through here, was leaking really bad. Like, it was constantly dripping water straight down into the annex. So if we'd had a bunch of stuff down here, it would have got all soaking wet. Fortunately, we didn't. We were just using it as like a changing area and for shoes and stuff. But it just leaked, and I'm not sure why. I went outside and checked to make sure you got all these flaps. So this is the flap that covers the zipper. I made sure, and in the morning, sure enough, I had all these flaps completely down. Nothing was catching water. Nothing was flipped up where water was hitting it directly. So I don't know why it leaked at all. I have no idea why it leaked. So we'll just keep an eye on it next time and see if it does the same. There is a window here. It was all completely zipped up at the time. This was not up, this was down. All the sides were completely down. And this is the only side I noticed it dripping on. Also, on the very top, the two spots right there did catch a little bit of water when it was raining heavy. It never like got to where it was really sagging. It would run off, but it would puddle right here, and I'd just kind of tap it every once in a while, and it would knock that excess water off. It didn't look like it was going to pool up to the point of caving in or anything. It kind of had a limit, and then it would run off, but it was catching there. Will say we were on a little bit of a slope, so at the time where we were camping, the front of the camper was low and the back of the camper was higher, and the ground was sloped down going back. So the annex this is way more level than it was then. At that time, the annex didn't fit quite right. It was a little cattywampus on the ground. So I'm thinking that may have had partly to do with it. I'm not really sure. We'll just see next time what happens. And I think the annex is a little bit long for our setup. It looks like there is a zipper here where you can adjust this about 3-4 inches, zip this together. So I think I'm going to try that here in a little bit. Zip that up and see if that raises that height to match our vehicle height a little bit better. All right, so I think that's the only thing there. Annex did get a lot of dirt tracked into it. Obviously, it was muddy, but that was okay. We just need to probably get a little rug to put outside to wipe our shoes off or whatever. But it worked great. It was really nice. The annex was nice, and it gave us a lot of space. Okay, let's climb up top. All right. Here's what it looks like up top. Okay. Ooh, that's bright. So this is what it's like up top. You got these two skylights that open up, have the mesh. You've got a light with USB over here. You can open these up. If you take the rain fly off, you can actually stand and stick your head out of the tent. The sides zip up. They've got mesh, and then they've got this. They zip, and this goes on the inside, and the mesh is on the outside. These side doors, the mesh is on the inside, and the canvas is on the outside, so they're opposite. These that where the ladder at are the same way. So it's just a little weird that they're different. Not a big deal. I will say with kids specifically, you have to keep this mesh zipped up with little kids. We had our 1-year-old up here with us, and we were being very careful with him because we didn't want him to fall. If he fell out of this, it would be a big deal and it would ruin our trip. But since these open on the inside, if I had this rolled up, the netting rolled up, this does not zip across the bottom. It only zips down the sides. So this is it's tight, but there is room where a baby sleeping, rolling around, not wanting to sleep, could slip right out of there. So we've got to keep the mesh zipped up. Something to note as a parent, if you've got a little toddler up here, to keep the mesh zipped up at all times, even if the other part is closed. Yes, he is. Even if the other is closed, they could still slip out. And if you fell out here, it would not be fun for a 1-year-old. Bigger kids, it's not going to be as big a deal. But yeah, super nice. Opens up, got lots of light in here. If you want light in here, when you close them all up, it does get pretty dark. It's not completely dark, but it's pretty dark. Plenty dark for us and for a kid to get in here and take a nap if they need to. So we're plenty happy with how dark it gets. I like to have it open. I like to see the sun rising, the light to wake me up and that kind of thing. I don't like it being super dark. I like the natural light. But if you were somewhere where there's some, you know, street lights or something, or if you want it dark, it does get pretty dark. There wasn't really any issues up here. We were completely happy with this. The mattress is only so thick. You can kind of, there's a ridge in the middle where this hinges right here. You can feel that ridge. And actually, when I was up here a minute ago, I had my knee right here and I felt it pop and drop a little bit in the middle. Not sure what that is. I'm gonna go look at it. Hopefully nothing is broken. Hopefully that didn't come apart, but I'm gonna go look at it here in a little bit when I fold it up and just make sure everything's okay. Hopefully nothing got damaged there. Shouldn't have, because that is a completely normal thing crawling around, and that shouldn't have popped out of place, I don't think. But I'll look at it here in a little bit when I can see that part, and we'll see what's going on. Yeah, that's pretty much it up here. We didn't have any issues, no leaks, everything stayed dry. There was some humidity and condensation. There's nothing you can do about that, you know, body heat and breathing and humidity in the air in here and then cold air outside. That's just part of it. That's going to happen. You just got to watch and make sure anywhere that does get that condensation gets dried out so you don't get mold. That's why we got it opened up, making sure all the outside is dry from the dew, let the inside air out and dry everything out. That's just a downside of tents, period. That's just something you got to deal with. What else? I think that's about it. I'll look around and see if I think of anything else, but that is all for up here at the moment. So one other thing I just now noticed was the floor of the Annex actually unzips. So you can unzip the floor from the walls, which actually be really handy. Like right now it's dirty, so I may just unzip the floor and go spray it off so I don't get the walls all wet and then put it back on. Might make that easier for cleaning, so that's kind of handy. I mean, a lot of this thing is really great. A lot of neat features. It's a really cool tent. Is it worth the money? I don't know. Don't know yet. Probably. I don't know. Is anything worth what you pay for it? I don't know. We're going to use it a lot. We'll get our money's worth out of it. We're going to use it repeatedly. We camp a lot, obviously. So we'll be using it a lot. It is very different from being everybody in here, which we were getting really crowded, obviously, with a baby. Sarah's pregnant. The kids are getting bigger. So it was crowded. So it's nice to have extra space. We slept better. It's more comfortable. We'll see how heating and cooling of all this goes, or what we need to do for bedding and stuff there. That'll be interesting. It is kind of interesting at night if we're up here and the kids are down here and someone's crying, we've got to climb down the ladder without falling and get in here. So it's not as convenient, but it's a lot more space and we needed it. So it's pretty cool. It's going to work well for us. It's just going to be a change to be setting it up and using it versus just rolling up, hopping in the camper and being good to go. But it's pretty cool. I like it so far. We'll see if we continue to like it, but I think it's going to work great. So I did just go around and zip this up and raise this that 3 or 4 inches, and it is fitting better. The height is better for the height of our rig now. So that little adjustment is very nice. I think they make an extension for some of these. I might be wrong on that, but I think some of them, they make a little bit of an extension so you can make it longer if you have a taller vehicle or trailer than we have. I don't know, I can't remember what all they have, because some people may have an even shorter trailer, like a homemade trailer that's down low that they put this on. And they may have a shorter Annex for that. I'm not really sure, but this one's fitting pretty good now with that little bit of adjustment. So great. Well, I think that's all I've got at the moment. Sorry for rambling. I just rolling through the thoughts I had while I had them, but that's it. That's the upgrade. Gives us a lot more space. So hopefully it's been informative to you, so it can help you make an informed decision on whether you want to get one of these or not, and if you want this particular model. So thanks for watching. We'll see you later. Have a great day.